Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 122 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled The Road to Recovery, Protocols for Lifestyle Diseases. This is part 2 of a 2-part series specifically addressing lifestyle diseases. So tune in. Tune in. If you are new here, you are most certainly welcome. And if you are a returning listener, as always, I appreciate your continued listen as well as your continued support. And I want to charge each and every one of you to share the podcast if they have helped you in any way. Share them with your friends, your family, other herbalists, people just now getting started into herbal medicine, or those who are seasoned and may need a refresher on some of the topics that I talk about. Reach out to them and send them these podcasts. I promise they're going to learn something from it. So today we are going to talk about protocols for lifestyle diseases. One of the things I want you to understand is that recovery is possible. And as herbalists, we hold powerful tools that work with the body and not against it to restore health. In this part 2 series, we're going to explore different healing strategies that don't just address the symptoms, but also support the body's natural repair systems, because that's what we do. So tonight we're going to talk about which herbs actually help the body regulate blood sugar levels, what plants can support blood vessel repair and metabolism, how to use your lab results and herbal remedies together, and when to blend natural therapies, if necessary, with modern medicine. And for the most part, that might not be necessary. And then last, how to actually help the clients who feel hopeless or overwhelmed take that first step towards addressing their disease of lifestyle. If you are catching this podcast first before the other one, I do recommend you go back and listen to that one first. But if you don't, we're talking about diseases of lifestyle. These are your strokes, certain cancers, diabetes, these type of things. And lifestyle diseases are simply diseases that occur, or imbalances, as we like to say in the herbal medicine world, as a result of our lifestyle, whether we're eating wrong, thinking wrong, consuming too much alcohol, smoking, stressed out. Whatever it is the way we live our lifestyle and how that creates a disease state or an imbalanced state in our body. So let's talk about it. Now, when we look at the integrative healing model, true healing means restoring the body's natural ability to regulate blood sugar and blood pressure, to clean out toxins, to repair damaged tissues, and adapt to stress. We use a 3-phase process in order to reach these goals. Number 1 is to remove the cause. And I know that may sound like common sense, but common sense ain't common for everybody, okay? But remove the cause. Take away what is hurting the body, whether it be junk food, chronic stress, toxins, whatever the case may be that is causing it, remove the cause. That's the first phase. The second, you want to rebuild the system. And this is support the digestion, restore any missing nutrients, and help the lymphatic system, which is basically your body's garbage can. It's your body's waste cleanup crew, if you want to look at it that way. And make sure that everything is flowing properly within that system. Now, the third thing you want to do is to restore balance, using herbs that actually help the body adapt to stress, that help you sleep better, that promote emotional well-being. You want to be able to use herbs that help the body adapt to stress, improve your sleep if that's an issue, as well as promote emotional healing. So those are the 3-phase process that we would use really in any situation, but specifically those that have lifestyle diseases or disorders. 1, remove the cause. 2, rebuild the system. 3, restore balance. So let's talk about some herbal protocols. So let's look at, with type 2 diabetes, what is actually happening in the body. The cells aren't responding well to insulin, which is a hormone that actually helps sugar enter into the cells, so the blood sugar stays too high. Some of the pathways, if you are an herbalist formulating to address this issue is the AMPK, which is an enzyme that helps regulate the energy use in cells. So you want to focus on that pathway. Another pathway is the insulin receptors. And these are proteins that are on the cells that listen to the insulin's message. So these are the supportive pathways that help address that. And if you're formulating the herbs that you use, you want to make sure that they act or interact with those particular pathways. And some of the herbs that can actually help with that are berberine, and it works like the drug metformin because it helps the cells actually respond to the insulin. Another one is gymnema, and this can reduce sugar cravings and support your pancreas. And then the other one is cinnamon, and this is a basic herb, but it's a very helpful herb, and it actually improves how the cells respond to the insulin. If you or your client is someone that is diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, then you want to restore key nutrients such as chromium, magnesium, and alpha lipoic acid to help reduce the blood sugar. Now, some lifestyle tips are: 1, use lower carb meals. 2, try intermittent fasting and make sure you have some guidance with that. And then another thing that you can do is herbal smoothies, and this will give you steady energy. So that is for type 2 diabetes. Now let's look at high blood pressure, also known as hypertension. Now what's happening in the body is that the blood pushes too hard against your artery walls, straining the heart and the vessels. So when you are formulating herbal remedies, you want to make sure that they can address or act on the supportive pathways of the nitric oxide pathway, which helps the blood vessels to relax, and the ACE inhibition pathway. This lowers substance that raise blood pressure. Now, why are we talking about pathways in formulation? The reason being is because in modern pharmacology, when they are looking at their formulations and how they're going to create their prescription drugs, one of the things that they look at are the pathways. They look at enzymes. These type of things help them to better understand how that herb on a chemical level is going to act or interact with this specific pathway in order to react and create a change. So any type of herb or remedy that you create that has the potential to have a chemical reaction, you want to make sure, because everything is chemistry, darling, as I always say, you want to make sure that you understand which pathway needs to be interacted or a change that needs to happen on that particular pathway in order for your herbal remedies to be effective. So people say, well, how do I know if this particular herb is going to work? How do I know if my remedy is going to be more targeted? How do I know these things? One of the things you know is that you have formulated to address and focus and target on those pathways, especially if there's an imbalance there or if there's a deficiency there. So this is the reason why with protocols, we are talking about that. This goes a little bit beyond your basic herbal medicine, but no matter what, anybody can understand it and it will be helpful if you decide to use it. So high blood pressure, back to that. The supportive pathways that you want to look at interacting with your herbs is nitric oxide pathway. Like I said, that helps the blood vessels relax. And the ACE inhibition pathway, this actually lowers substances that raise the blood pressure. So some of the herbs that you can use to help with that target those pathways are hibiscus, because it helps lower your blood pressure naturally, garlic, because it supports blood vessel flexibility, and olive leaf, because it reduces pressure in your arteries. Now, somebody that has high blood pressure or hypertension, 9 times out of 10 is low in magnesium. So that is one of the things that you want to recommend as well, because magnesium relaxes the muscles, and this includes blood vessels. Another one is CoQ10, because this supports your heart's energy. So those are the nutrients that you would want to look at. And then some lifestyle tips are regular movement, even if it's gentle walking. And then also being aware of how much salt, not necessarily getting rid of salt, but just making sure that you're not overdoing it with the salt, and make sure you're breathing. Give your body some good oxygen. Don't let, a lot of this mystical, breathing, this and that kind of steer you away from it. The reality is that you want to breathe. You want to make sure that you're monitoring how you're breathing. Sometimes people aren't even breathing from their stomach. They breathing all the way up under their throat or in their chest. And they're breathing fast and all of that. So you want to have some regular breathing techniques, some deep breathings, so that you're getting your body and your brain all the oxygen that it can hold, and you're pushing out all of the toxic carbon dioxide. Now, let's look at obesity. This is another lifestyle disease. So what is happening with obesity in the body? This is where weight gain comes with blood sugar imbalance, fatigue, and often hormone issues. So the supportive pathways that you want to target are the leptin and insulin. And these are hormones involved in hunger and in blood sugar. So if you have a client that, they just hungry all the time, that switch may be flipped in their head that they are hungry, but the reality is that they are not. Okay. The body is like, I've got all the food that I can eat. I'm good. Another pathway that you want to look at, the HPA axis pathway. And we've talked about this before in previous podcasts. And this is where the brain and adrenal connection happens that actually manages a person's stress, because oftentimes that is one of the triggers for people overeating is stress or anxiety. So these pathways are important to focus on, especially when you are formulating your herbal remedies. Some herbs that can kind of help with that are green tea, because it supports how fat is metabolized. Bitter herbs, this helps with digestion and food absorption. And rhodiola and holy basil help the body to handle stress a lot better. These are what are known as adaptogen herbs. Some lifestyle tips. When it comes to obesity, one of the things I would always recommend, I do subscribe to the Eat Right for Your Blood Type paradigm. I really do. And so figure out what your blood type is and go from there. The other thing I would say as well, make sure that you're pairing your foods properly, making sure that the meal timing so that your blood sugar is controlled and balanced is important. Make sure that you're moving more throughout the day, even outside of workouts, and try not to make it so stressful. There's so many new dances out there now on TikTok and everywhere else. Just get out there and dance, get out there and move, get your body moving more during the day. And then the other thing is make sure that you have good sound sleep and healthy digestion so that your body can process the food, accurately that you are eating, and it knows what to do with it. So let me give you an example. We're going to go over a case study really quickly. Let's take Maria. She's 47 years old. She was diagnosed with prediabetes, high blood pressure, and chronic fatigue. Her initial lab results, her A1C was 6.3%, and this actually measures the average blood sugar that a person has, and she was found to be in the pre-diabetic range. Her blood pressure was 145/90, which is pretty high. Her fasting insulin was 18, and that shows that cells are actually not responding to the insulin. And her morning cortisol was high, which means that her body is stuck in stress mode. Some of her symptoms that she presents with are constant sugar cravings, brain fog, and fatigue. She gained 20 pounds in 2 years, and she has issues with sleeping and emotional burnout. Girl is stressed. So let's look at what we're going to do to help Maria. The first thing is you always make the assessment. What we notice here is that she has pre-diabetes, her blood pressure is high, and she's exhausted. Her cells are not responding to the insulin. Her body is stuck in stress mode, and her blood pressure is high. She is having a lot of brain fog and fatigue as a result, and constantly craving sugar, which of course she's indulged in and caused her to gain weight, and she's not sleeping like she should, and she's emotionally drained, which all leads to high cortisol, which is the hormone that has the fat. So let's look at how we're going to address that. So number one, we are according to the remove, rebuild, and restore model. This is how we're going to look at it. So number one, for remove, we're going to cut sugar and refined carbs, and we're going to ask her to walk 20 minutes a day. Every day. Just start walking 20 minutes a day. Two, we are going to, during the rebuild phase, we are going to have her on a morning tea, which is rhodiola and lemon balm. This addresses her energy and her mood. The evening tea is going to be a tea that is for sleeping and help her to have a calm state, and that's going to be passion flower. In order to be able to restore, all right, that's the third phase, restore, we're going to recommend hibiscus and green tea for heart health and metabolism, and then a daily herbal smoothie with adaptogens, green, and a protein. Protein is also very good to consume, especially if you have sugar cravings. If you eat a little more protein, you'll find yourself not craving sugar so much. Now, as far as supplements, we're going to look at giving her magnesium to help for stress and sleep, chromium to address the blood sugar, and the alpha lipoic acid for cellular protection. Because during this time, especially when you're obese and you have toxins in the body and all of that, your cells are being damaged. Now, with Maria, we are not just going to leave her and say, here, girl, here's your plan. Keep it moving. No. You're going to follow up with her in 8 weeks. Okay, so let's fast forward. Maria is following the plan. She calls you and lets you know she's excited to meet with you. I got my results and everything like that. And what has she found in 8 weeks? When you sit with her, you have determined that based on the protocol that we've created, her A1C has dropped to 5.8%, which means she's no longer pre-diabetic. Her blood pressure has improved to 128 over 82. And she's had more energy and she was sleeping well again. So what is the takeaway from Maria? The takeaway is that she did not need perfection. Her plan wasn't perfect. She just needed a personalized plan and consistency as well as gentle support. So this is Maria. Now let's look at diet, because we talked about when it comes to diet and lifestyle diseases, it is key. So we're going to talk about some foundational food first strategies. Number one, you want to eat colorful foods, okay? And this is for better cell repair as well as immunity. Then you also want to consume fermented foods, and this helps improve digestion as well as gut health. Another thing you want to consume is healthy fats, and this is to help balance hormones as well as your brain health. And then elimination phase, okay, this should be about after 4 weeks, you want to remove dairy, gluten, and sugar. And then you also want to add an elimination phase. And this should be spread out over about 4 weeks. And this is where you remove dairy, gluten, and sugar to find any hidden triggers. All right. So this is the first thing. Address the food. When it comes to lifestyle diseases and disorders, you heard the statistics from the first podcast. You've heard the statistics from part 1 of the podcast series where I addressed the statistics on poor food, poor eating habits, and how that contributed in high numbers to people acquiring lifestyle diseases. So again, colorful foods, fermented foods, healthy fats, and begin an elimination phase for about 4 weeks to reduce dairy, gluten, and sugar to see where those triggers are. Now, an herbal daily plan that someone could use is one in the morning. They can start their day with ashwagandha and tulsi. I absolutely love tulsi. It is in one of my blends. I just love it. It is great for stress. It is great for focus. It is great to help, balance you out. I love tulsi. So start off with some tulsi tea. And again, this is for all lifestyle diseases, everything I'm talking about now. Before meals, consume some bitters to help boost digestion. You don't have to consume a whole lot, but just enough in order to help boost your digestion, especially when you're eating other meats and things like that. In the evening, you want to drink passion flower and chamomile for sleep, so in a tea, or you can create a tincture. Some people, they're like, I don't want to just sit and have 8 ounces of tea and all that. I want tinctures and that kind of stuff. So consider that as well. But I would love a nice warm cup of tea before bed. So that's just me. And then, of course, daily consume an herbal smoothie with greens, flax, which is fiber. It's good for the body. Fiber is really good because it's like your body, not your body, but your guts broom. And it helps sweep out all that extra junk. So add more fiber to the diet. Also berries, you can put that in your shake. You can put that in your smoothie, protein, and some adaptogens. Now, let's talk about, as herbalists, how can we encourage clients who feel defeated? Because some clients feel like their diagnosis is the end of the road. And so these are some points I'm going to give you, some takeaways to help you be able to support your clients or yourself in understanding that it's not over. Okay. So number 1, explain how the body can heal. And you want to use very simple and encouraging language, because the reality of it is everything that we need to be in perfect balance, to be in perfect health, lies already within us. It's not anything that is weird or cosmic or anything new, but we have everything that we need in order to properly function in this realm. Sometimes things get off balance because of what we consume, what we do, how we think, all of these things. That's where the imbalances come from. But it doesn't change the fact that our body can still heal. It does. It can heal itself. Another thing that you can do to encourage your clients when they feel defeated is to focus on small wins. Like if their sleeping has improved, or let's say they were able to get out, whereas one day they could only walk for 5 minutes, but today now they were boosted it up to 15 minutes and, they felt great and encouraged. Focus on those small wins because those things matter. Hold on to it. And it'll encourage them to keep moving forward. But it'll also encourage them to focus on the small gains as well and not be so focused on, oh no, I didn't do this right, or oh no, I didn't do that right, and then sabotage their plan. Another thing is listen to emotions. So when people are talking, a lot of times you have to learn how to listen to what they're saying, but also listen to what they're not saying. And so you want to listen to fear. So you want to listen for fear, frustration, shame, and you want to hold a space for them for healing. Okay. You don't want to shame them. You don't want to lead with fear. If you don't address this is what's going to happen. You don't want to do that. You want to hear your clients out. And so hold a space for them during that time. And then another thing with clients, use metaphors. So a lot of times you may say, well, this process is like rebuilding a house. You start with the foundation and then you move forward. Using metaphors helps to show that the process is actually possible. It's not just some long written out plan with 1,000 steps. And it's like, how in the world am I going to do this? But if you look at it like building a house, or you use metaphors when you're trying to explain processes in the body, it helps them to better understand it. Even if they have no idea, no knowledge of science and these type of things, herbs, all that, it's helpful. And most of all, understand that hope and faith is the most important medicine that we offer. Because the reality of it is that if they don't have any hope and they don't believe, then it's not going to happen for them. They have to be truly invested. Their soul has to be truly invested in this process and want to make that change. If that doesn't happen and things are not aligned properly, their mind and spirit are not aligned, then that's going to impede their ability to be healed. So know that. Now, because we're all about safety, understand when it is time to refer to a medical doctor. Okay? Because natural healing is power, but there are some situations that may require immediate medical help. And I told you guys, emergency medicine is important. Now, do I agree with all the chemicals and all that certain things? No. But at the end of the day, like I said, if somebody get their leg chopped off or they got shot in the foot, come on. Hey, come to my herb bag and get some stuff out of there and I'll wrap it up and keep it moving. Yeah, but how you gonna get my leg back together? Like, no. You have some sense, okay? But there are times where immediate medical help may need to be sought, and that is for a very high blood pressure, okay, or blood sugar, vision or kidney problems, okay? And this can be possible sometimes with people that have diabetes complications, okay? So severe vision issues, kidney issues, those type of things. And then, of course, risk of drug herb interactions. So as always, you want to know what are your clients taking, especially when you're trying to recommend protocols. Don't have a one size fits all program for diabetes. Don't do that, because you have to know the body and the constitution of the person that's sitting in front of you. And you have to know what prescription medications they're on as well, because when you make your recommendations, you don't want any negative drug herb interactions. All right. And so be wise, always collaborate, and know your role. Don't work outside of your scope of knowledge. And if you need to refer on, refer on. There's no shame in that. It's all about keeping our clients safe. Now, let's talk about some safety herb notes really quickly, and then we're going to get on out of here. Number one, berberine, I recommended earlier. It is not safe during pregnancy. So if you are pregnant, do not take this, because it can lower your blood sugar too much if you take it especially with your diabetes medications. Licorice root can raise your blood pressure. Okay. So you got to be careful with that. All right. Use the DGL, form if you're concerned about that. St. John's wort. This obviously can interfere with a lot of medications that people are taking. So you want to be careful or cautious. Like I said, we have our thoughts and opinions on medications and who should take them and who not. And really, they're not good. All of that. We have our thoughts and opinions. But the reality is that the people that sit before us are on medication. And so even if they're trying to work off or bring down their dosages to eventually get off of the drug, that drug is still in their system. And so you definitely have to make sure that there are no negative interactions. I really can't stress that enough. So when you're using St. John's wort or you're recommending it to other people, just be careful of that. So I'm going to leave you with some reflection. I'm going to give you 2 questions, because I gave you some questions last time, and I hope you guys did some reflecting. I hope you answered them. I would love to hear your responses. If you want to tell me, you can always email me if you don't feel comfortable putting it down in the chat, but I would love to hear from you. The first question is, what's one small habit you can try this week to support your healing? And number 2, what is stopping you from moving forward? What are the barriers that you are dealing with? And why am I asking this? This is important because you want to know what's blocking you, what's hindering you. And if it's you, then you need to get out of the way. But reflect on those things. Reflect on those 2 things and let me know. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to this talk and to this conversation. If it has helped you, please share, please like, please subscribe, and please come back next time for more informative podcasts where I will continue to bring more education. And I hope all of this is really helping you. I hope that if you or anyone you know is suffering from a lifestyle disease or disorder, that they understand that this is not the end of the road. It is not a death sentence. And that goes from diabetes, stress, all the way to different cancers. It can be addressed. There is hope. All right. Don't give up. Don't give in. Keep fighting. Keep moving forward. Keep making those changes. And until next time, family, I'm out.